Keegan Kogan, the Man Cave Classroom, analyzing this political cartoon.
Yes.
As we look at this and discuss, and we'll kind of get to that. But I guess let's start with what they give us.
We got to start with where this comes from.
Sure.
We do. This comes from a magazine called The Wasp. Not Wasp. Wasp stands for White Anglo-Saxon Protestant. It was a magazine published in the mid to late 1800s, more out west.
Yes, this is a West Coast
mostly
magazine.
out west, and really depicted minorities, particularly the Chinese, in negative ways. As
Playing on the negative stereotypes.
yes, negative stereotypes against them.
And since you're bringing up the Chinese, if we go down here, it says, "Is it right for a Chinaman to jeopard a white man's dinner?"
I guess jeopardy means like to jeopardize. To cause, yeah.
Yep. All right. So, again, when we're just taking the words, you're taking what they give you, and if you knew something about the magazine, this was, West Coast. We're talking 1800s, and you are talking also about a time period where there's an influx of a lot of immigrants from different groups.
Yes.
West Coast, you had most of the people coming from, Asian countries, and why? California is closer to the Asian countries, where if you look at New York and the East Coast, you get a lot of people coming from European countries.
Particularly from China. Lots of Chinese immigrate to the United States during the Gold Rush. A lot more come over to help build the Transcontinental Railroad.
Yep.
Because of their work ethic, they were able to succeed. And then they stayed and they opened up businesses and they carved their own little lot of the American dream successfully.
Right.
For many of them. But they weren't well liked.
No, they were not.
No.
And one of my favorite historians, authors, James Bradley, he winds up getting into this one book. I believe it was called The Imperial Cruise.
Yes.
Where he was talking about the Chinese, and he was talking about how they had different lifestyles compared to the people who were going out west and working on mines and working on railroads. They were frugal. They were very disciplined, very strict. Different diets that allowed them to thrive in these environments. Often saved their money as well, where you had the Western miners or your cowhands that were going out and partying on the weekend if they were getting paid. They were very, very vigilant, very strict in how they worked, very disciplined as well. And for that, and since they were thriving while others were kind of suffering, and also another reason to make them a target.
And the Chinese at this time, okay, so you mentioned before the influx of European immigrants. From the American perspective, from the WASP, White Anglo-Saxon means English speaking.
Yep.
From the white English speaking Protestant, the Europeans, the Irish, the Italians, the Germans, they were white.
Right.
They might not have spoken English, but they were white. In come the Chinese, who were different.
Right.
The looking different.
The clothing.
Yeah.
Style.
And they were reluctant. The Chinese were very reluctant to speak English. Right. They held on to their old ways. And as you said, everything about them was different. And they became the whipping boy, if you would, for the white Anglo-Saxon Protestants.
So with all that going on, I mean, we look here and, again, how this Chinese individual is portrayed. Again, with the clothing. Sometimes what you would often see in political cartoons is the hands with
The
like
less than human-like features.
Yep.
We saw that during Reconstruction.
Yep.
With many of the freedmen depicted as less than human-like. We're going to see it again with the Chinese being like fangs, claws. We see it again even with when we get to World War II with the Japanese. But we have Colombia.
Yep.
We have our female representation of America. Is she the mother?
Looks like that, right?
Serving the meal.
Sure.
I don't know if this is supposed to be the mother or just an older child. But here she comes in serving the meal. The Chinese man is attempting to grab it from her.
Right.
And Pop is angry.
Yeah. Definitely, he's an outsider coming.
Yep.
He's definitely intruding on this particular setting. And again, when you go right here, is it right for a Chinaman to jeopardize a white man's dinner?
Now, was this really happening? No.
No, this is definitely not happening.
But it's meant to be a metaphor of they're coming over, they're willing to work for less pay,
And they're stealing jobs.
and they're stealing jobs.
Yep.
And if you're stealing jobs, you're stealing money. You're stealing money. You're stealing food.
Yep.
So that's the message the Wasp, the magazine, is trying to portray or send to the people out west about the Chinese.
And here we have, of course, this nice family dinner. Everybody's starting to come in, and again, you have the Chinese man coming in here and trying to take that dinner.
Yeah, and even like Dad's body language.
Yeah.
Shirt sleeve rolled up, he's about to throw down.
Yeah, if you're rolling up a sleeve, you're
Yeah,
either working
you know,
or
and
throwing
you
down.
see the leaning in, ready to pounce.
And he's looking right in his direction.
It's almost like suggesting that you should be violent towards these Chinese immigrants.
Perfect.
You know, I don't know if that's the message, but that's what I'm taking from it.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, a lot of great relevant outside information that's going to help you comprehend this one. Anything else on this one?
No.
I mean, great document to analyze. Awful that we're talking about it, I guess.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of
Yeah, I know. This is just
awful
tip the
awful
iceberg. All right, well, thank you for watching then.